some ups and downs over the course of the year. And those short-term modeling results I was talking about in the previous couple of slides, those are going to be these numbers up here, the highest numbers. Those are the worst-case short-term numbers. Over the course of the year, though, again, the takeaway from this is your sound level is going to vary. They're going to be up, they're going to be down. They're not going to be higher than this number here. You can see they're going to vary by as much as 20 decibels for the turbines. This question we often get is, how accurate are the models? So we hear the comments that they're no good. That's not true. Like any model, any tool, this model is a diagnostic tool. It gives you, take the best information you can, you put it in, you make some reasonably conservative assumptions, and out of that, you're going to get some predictions. And what we've seen over the years in research and papers, as long as you assume the worst case conditions, when we go out and do post-construction monitoring after the fact, if we can get those conditions to occur, which is not always easy, because you remember those bullet points from before, I need all those things to occur on the same couple of nights that I'm out there, then we found that the models do a pretty good job. I'll show you an example. They seem to be either at or below what we actually predicted. This is a paper I presented at a National Noise Conference in 2014, where high shear, this is a question that comes up, what shear is, wind shear, excuse me, is how the wind speed varies with height. So wind shear means what's the wind speed down at the ground versus what's the wind speed up at the turbine hub height. Okay, those are almost always two different numbers. So under high wind shear, that's your worst case condition. So the winds are relatively light at the ground, maybe 2 or 3 meters per second, but maybe they're 9 meters up at the hub height, so you've got the maximum sound levels. So I did some modeling and some measurements for a project. I wrote the results in this paper. And what I found was at the couple closest locations, wind industry started in Europe, so they always do things in meters. So apologize for the metrics, but 564 meters is about 1,750, 1,800 feet, something like that. So what I modeled at these two locations were 43 and 41 for the short-term worst case. What I measured out in the field, total sound, was about 41 and 39. I had the turbines shut down, so I get the background, which is the sound levels without the turbines. That's what these numbers are. So you subtract the background from the total, and you come up with the turbine-only numbers, and that's the number I want to compare to what I modeled. So turbine-only was 40, I modeled 43. Turbine-only was 38.3, I modeled 41. Again, and this was a case where these were 3 megawatt turbines, good-sized turbines, 100-meter hub height, putting out their absolute maximum power, 3,000 kilowatts or 3 megawatts under strong wind shear conditions. I had very light winds at the ground, so I know I had very little sound from the wind itself. So I feel very good about these data. They're very solid data. Excuse me. There was a research study funded by the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center a couple of years ago. It's called the Massachusetts Study on Wind Turbine Acoustics. It's a publicly available document. You can Google it and you'll find it. We were one of the participating organizations that did that. A lot of actual monitoring of wind turbines. Some modeling went on. A lot of meteorological data were collected. 145 million records of data. It was unbelievable. Again, the point of this was the same thing. That the modeling showed that the monitoring showed the modeling does a good job if you use the right assumptions. Low frequency and infrasound. As you can remember from the graph I showed you earlier, low frequency infrasound is a part of the sound spectrum. Low frequency is defined as 20 hertz to 200 hertz. Infrasound is below 20 hertz. Okay. There's no regulatory limits. There are or guidelines. Here in New York State, it will be looked at. It is going to have to be looked at as part of the Article 10 process. What I showed you before, infrasound is not audible. Nobody disputes that. As you saw from that graph, it's got to be around 100 decibels or higher for us to hear it. There's been some discussion whether people can feel it or not, perhaps, but you can't hear it. And low frequency, once you get above, like I said, low frequencies between 20 and 200, at around 50, 60 decibels, you can start to hear low frequency, and that's not disputed either. There are many ANSI is American National Standard Institute, these national standards that are out there to look at low frequency infrasound and try to put it into context. For perceptible vibration and rattle, criteria in the bedroom, and annoyance. And so we looked at all these things, and they're going to be looked at again as part of this process. Low frequency and infrasound, sure, wind turbines make it, absolutely. Wind turbines definitely emit low frequency and infrasound, as does any mechanical piece of equipment. I measured the infrasound in this room before the meeting started, and the levels below 10 hertz were in the range of 50 to 60 decibels in the room, just from us, activity in here, conversation. A couple more research projects here where we were commissioned to do, because this question has been coming up, we did a detailed study of measurements of low frequency and infrasound. We compared them to some of those criteria I just mentioned. This is a peer-reviewed publication from 2011 in the Noise Control Engineering Journal. I'm sure everyone has that on your coffee table for bedtime reading and put you right to sleep. But that research was published in that document, and that's available. Again, low frequency and infrasound, does it exist? Absolutely. Does it exist at the levels that are harmful? No. This graph here is your typical room air conditioner. Again, this line here is the demarcation between low frequency from 20 to 200, and then infrasound is below 20 hertz. Your air conditioner puts out infrasound and low frequency energy. This right here is the audibility curve. We start to hear it a little bit once it gets into this range of low frequency. We don't hear it below here. So let me wrap up with two more slides. Noise design goals. This document here is the World Health Organization Guidelines for Community Noise, issued in 1999. This one on the right is also a WHO Night Noise Guidelines for Europe, issued in 2009. Neither one of these was developed for wind turbines, but they were developed for looking at sleep disturbance. And so there are some independent guidelines in here. The short-term number here for nighttime is 45 decibels to prevent sleep disturbance. That's 45 outside, short-term. And then the 2009 WHO report has a recommendation of 40 decibels over the course of a year at night. So if you think about that graph I showed you a few slides ago, the sound levels plotted over the course of the year, you look at it, what is it every night of the year, and are you at 40 decibels or below? And that's their guideline over the course of a year. And this basically summarizes them. WHO 1999, this is again a short-term guideline of 45 to prevent sleep disturbance. Long-term, outside, also prevent sleep disturbance and limit annoyance from sounds. And this last one's a key. The idea here is for any sound ordinance or regulation that you might be considering or that any community has, there needs to be some kind of a balance, obviously. Making something inaudible is not a reasonable goal. I mean, there's no sound. I mean, any type of farm equipment is inaudible. Air conditioning. There's a lot of sources of sound that are audible. So inaudibility is not a realistic goal, and there's no noise ordinances I'm aware of that make that a goal. So there's going to be some balance between having some sound that's audible, whether it's from wind turbines or anything, versus preventing people from being disturbed at night, and you want them to get a good night's sleep. And what we've seen is that these numbers here that strike that balance, 45 at a home. So with that, that is my last slide. So we're going to wrap up and see if you have any questions. Or I turn it right over to Chris.
All right.
Go.